This Born of the Gods review video is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com. Visit their website to order all the Born of the Gods singles and sealed product. Now on to our review video with the Magic Man Sam.
Spoiler alert. I left the milk out.
No, not that.
Oh. Spoiler alert. Darth Vader is actually...
No, not that.
Oh! Spoiler alert. Xenagos, the god of revels, has ascended into Nyx, creating chaos over the plane of Theros. For more Born of the Gods spoilers, this is the Magic Man Sam for GatheringMagic.com. Let's take a look. Hello guys, welcome to a spoiler video. Gathering Magic kindly asked me to be involved in their spoiler series that they're doing right now for the new Born of the Gods set, and I was very humbled and very excited to do that video. So without further ado, let's get right to it to look at some of the cool new spoiled cards from Born of the Gods. Alright, so the first 5 cards I'd like to talk about are what I'm going to call the limited uncommon bombs. That is, these cards are a little bit too fragile and a little bit too expensive to see really any play in Standard, but I think they're going to make a huge impact on Limited, and they all work with the really cool new mechanic in Born of the Gods, which is Inspired, which says when you untap this creature, something happens, a triggered ability happens. You can either pay mana for it, some of them don't require mana, but it's going to be a really cool, fun mechanic, and it's going to inspire you to either attack with your creatures, make sure they untap, or figure out new ways to kind of make them untap. So these 5 new cards are all revolving around WUBRG, which is the color pie, which is what Magic is at its core. Back in the day, Wizards decided that they really wanted to make sure each color had its own color identity, and that's where cards like Ancestral Recall and Lightning Bolt came about. Since then, every set seems to have its own set of cards that are still building on this idea, and these guys are no exception. So going in WUBRG order, we have God-Favored General, Airy Worshippers, Forlorn Sudama, Satyr Nyx Smith, and Ferris Band Raiders. And all 5 of these cards are pretty much saying, let's get these dudes tapped, and then when they untap, we can pay a certain mana cost and make more dudes. Like I said, late game in a limited environment, as long as these guys can survive, you're just going to soon enough flood the enemy with all of the lands that you have later on in the game. These cards remind me a lot of Hammer of Purphoros from the last set, which pretty much is starting to turn your mana into dudes that hopefully will just flood the board and destroy your enemy late game. But like I said before, these guys will probably see a lot of play in Limited and not much else. Most importantly, they all fit the new Inspired mechanic really well, and they all fit their color identity even better. Alright, let's go on to a new card, which I think is really cool, because it's all about Graveyard Incursion. It's a mythic rare for the new sets, and I think this card is going to see a lot of play in Commander. Of course, I am talking about Champion of Stray Souls. For 4 colorless and 2 black, you get a 4/4 Skeleton Warrior with some really sweet art. And since Theros was very much inspired by Greek mythology, this guy is all about hunting those graveyards and bringing back some old souls to fight in the dead army. 2 and 2 black, and tap this guy, says sacrifice X amount of creatures you control, and return X amount of creatures from your graveyard to the battlefield. When I see a card like this, I just think of all the really sweet possibilities of turning a bunch of small dudes, like tokens or 1-drops, into some ridiculous fatties, just recurring and cheating all these fatties into play. And I think Commander is the perfect environment for that. We look at cards like Shroom the Hegemon, which is pretty much working with this theme, and we also have to consider all of the graveyard hate that Commander has, just because the graveyard is such a powerful zone in that format. This dude himself is also very undying, like a skeleton would be. For 5 and 2 black, you can put Champion of Stray Souls from your graveyard to the top of your library. So pretty much this guy is not going anywhere. He's gonna haunt people back from the graveyard and then turn himself back into a playable creature every single time. Again, I think it's a really fun card. It's a little expensive and it doesn't really fit with any of the themes going on in Standard right now, but geez, I really hope this becomes a card. I would love to see it play, and I just love Graveyard Cheat Incursion and making use of all the dead things. So, sweet card, Wizards. I love this one. Alright, the third and final category for the new cards spoiled are cards that I think will make a very big impact in Standard and Constructed play. Alright, the first card is called Ifara's Enlightenment, which is 1, a white and a blue, for an enchantment aura. The first effect says, when it enters the battlefield, we are allowed to put a +1/+1 counter on the creature that's being enchanted. This creature also gets flying. And the third effect of this card says, whenever another creature enters the battlefield, we may return this enchantment back to our hand, kind of like a Rancor effect. Alright, a lot of people right now are kind of comparing this card to Gift of Orzhova and trying to balance each other and weigh each other's pros and cons. For me, I really like this card because 1, it pushes the blue-white heroic deck, And secondly, it's going to give us devotion to turn on Ephara herself if we want to go that route. Plus it behaves almost like an equipment because we're able to flexibly turn this card into other buffs for everybody. And with something like Phalanx Leader or any of the awesome heroic cards that white and blue has, we're going to be able to just give tons of counters to tons of our creatures. And then once we are deciding to attack, them having evasion in terms of flying and stuff like that is going to be a really, really cool effect and is going to flood the battlefield. So overall, I think this card really fits with the blue-white heroic decks and probably not anywhere else. Alright, the next two cards are going to be absolute nightmares to play against. They're mono black cards and they have super huge powerful effects. We're pretty much giving mono black a sweeper, which is just... God. These two cards, of course, are called Bile-Blight and Drown in Sorrow. Alright, Bile-Blight is 2 black for an instant that says target creature and all creatures that have the same name as that creature get -3/-3 until end of turn. Alright, this is like a detention sphere that just gets rid of things. Tokens, goodbye. Mutavaults, goodbye. Boros Reckoner, see ya. This card hits so many things, and it's so much better than what is currently holding the double black 2-drop instant removal spell, which is Pharika's Cure. Drown in Sorrow is 1 and 2 black, just like Murder and Hero's Downfall. It fits that 3-drop removal spot. But it is a sorcery. But it says all creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn and scry 1. This card again is very devastating. Not only does it give mono black some intense scry abilities, but it also just wipes the floor with things like Pack Rat in the mirror. Again, these two cards are just gonna destroy house. I'm so sick thinking about it. Alright, the next card is gonna fit a new tribal deck that Wizards is pushing in Theros, which are the Minotaurs. This card is Ragemonger. It is 1, a red and a black. It's a creature, it's a Minotaur himself. It is a 2/3, and it says other Minotaur spells you cast cost red and a black less to cast. Alright, this card is really, really cool. It's pretty much what the Minotaur deck needed to really get off the floor. Let's take a look at its effects. Boros Reckoner is just 2 red to cast. We're gonna get another Ragemonger for 1. Pretty much all the Minotaurs are just gonna go from our hand to the battlefield and then tilt, tilt, tilt. I'm excited, I like tribal decks. I'm gonna be very excited to play against a Minotaur deck and see what these guys can do because I think there's a lot of power in Rakdos colors, and Ragemonger is just, again, another card that's gonna be able to push that tribe over the top. It's really what it's been needing. So go Minotaurs! Finally, I want to talk about the 3 mythic bombs. These are going to be the money rares. These are going to be the cards that just completely redefine standard, and these are going to be the chase cards that everyone wants in their booster packs and booster boxes. The first I'm talking about is Karametra, God of Harvests. It's the Selesnya god. For 3, a green and white, you get a 6/7 indestructible creature. And just like all the other multicolored gods, our devotion needs to be set up to 7 instead of 5. Which really isn't too much because all these gods count for devotion to themselves when they enter the battlefield. But her ability is so cool. It says whenever you cast a creature, you may search your library up for a forest or a plains card and put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. Farseek on a stick? And guys, this isn't just searching for basic land cards. This is gonna pull Temple Gardens, this is gonna pull Hallowed Fountains, this is gonna pull any sort of mana fixing that you need, and it's gonna do it with a creature attached. Again, this is probably gonna be a really, really great EDH card. I hope it finds a home in Selesnya and Standard, but I just really love ramp decks and getting a ton of value out of your creatures, and it's going to thin your deck out to make sure you find creatures at the top of your library. So I think they really hit it out of the park, plus the artwork is so cool. I mean, she just looks awesome. Our second multicolored god is Xenagos, God of Revels. For 3, a red and a green, you get a 6/5 indestructible satyr that's growing out of a mountain. Again, you need to get red and green devotion to 7 for him to be a creature. Gruul is all about just bringing in huge fatties and destroying everybody in their path. So Xenagos fits with that theme perfectly. He says at the beginning of the combat, a creature you control gets +X/+X until end of turn, and haste, where X is that creature's power. So you're pretty much doubling the power of something that you have. This means that a Colonian Hydra just got haste and bigger twice. That's terrifying. Obviously this is going to fit the creature decks really well, and I'm expecting some turn 3 or turn 4 just kills from Xenagos and company. Finally, my favorite card of all the cards I just talked about is Brimaz, King of Oreskos. This guy just has flavor all over him. For 1 and 2 white, you get a 3/4 cat that just comes with friends. He's vigilant. Whenever he attacks, he brings another vigilant dude into the battlefield. And whenever he blocks, he brings another vigilant dude blocking onto the battlefield. I think this is the one card that's going to just push mono white over the top. Because this guy pretty much says, I'm going to win the game by myself, but if I have other friends, like Spear of Heliod for example, I'm just going to completely destroy the game by turn 4. Being able to pump out a bunch of dudes by turn 4 is really good also against cards like Desecration Concentration Demon, where we can just sacrifice the dudes that we get for free and attack, attack, attack. I think there's a lot of creativity with this dude. I think he's going to be such a bomb no matter what happens, regardless of the state of the board. And I think that White Weenies finally found their hero, their king in this cat. King of the Cat Soldiers, this guy is awesome. Alright, so those are the spoiled cards that were instructed for me to talk about. I'm really, really excited about Born of the Gods. I hope you guys are too. I will be creating some new decks, brewing over some new stuff, and if you like what you saw, go ahead and check my channel out in the links below. I just want to say thanks again, Gathering Magic. You guys are awesome. I love your content, and I'm very, very excited and humbled to be a part of this project. So this is the Magic Man Sam signing out. See you guys soon.